Cal McNair, my goodness, what is going on with the Texans owner? You want to talk about feeling yourself. He might have taken it to a whole new level. Plus, 10 questions, 10 thoughts that need to be answered before the Texans take the field in the preseason. Let's go inside the locker room. Another night stream, baby.
What it is, let's get it. Hey, locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up, we number one.
My goodness, it is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me here. You can see me here. I'll be all over the place. Got a lot of stuff popping up this week. Not going to lie. Very, very busy times around here. Very, very optimistic times around here. And we start with this today. You want to talk about feeling yourself. You want to talk about feeling good. You want to talk about vibes. Like there's a lot of times there's pictures on the internet or there's stuff that surfaces that you say, man, that guy is feeling himself. That guy is vibing. And let's take a look at Cal McNair today at the Astros game. Andre Johnson was throwing out the first pitch. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. Thank you very much. The night stream continues to go. If you missed the practice updates from the 1:30 stream, check that out as well. We'll figure something out tomorrow as far as the schedule post game on Thursday. But Andre Johnson, he was out at the juice box. He was throwing out the first pitch. 50 Cent was there. He was rocking a Texans chain. You had 50 Cent talking about Andre Johnson. This was Vanessa Richardson, the great Vanessa Richardson of Space City. She actually caught up with 50 Cent, who was on the scene. Our guy Paul Wall, who will come through here pretty soon. Paul Wall was on the scene. He's got the power back. And then you had 50 Cent there with both of them. There was Vanessa Richardson talking to 50 Cent, one of Houston's finest now. Here's Vanessa with 50 at the Andre thing.
Can only be here to support. You know what I mean? You got guys out there that discipline themselves and their passion.
We got Texas chain right there.
You know, like the love for the sports turns into a passion, and that passion turns into an obsession, and that allows you to be someone that we can't forget.
There you go. 50 freaking Cent. And on a day in which you have Andre Johnson, future Hall of Famer, and you have 50 Cent, and you have Paul Wall in attendance, the guy with the most swag is Cal McNair. Look at this effing guy, man. Look at this effing guy. Shout out to Cal McNair, a.k.a. BBC. BBC, a.k.a. backwards ball cap Cal. Ball cap, one word. That is BBC, backwards ball cap Cal. He is feeling himself. Look at that. On the broadcast, backwards ball cap Cal. BBC. Shout out to Cal McNair. Look at that swagger right there. That is a man who is feeling himself. And he should be. He's got a good ball club. He had to put up with a lot of crap. He's finally in his zone. He's got the Queen of Houston in Hannah McNair. He's got the best team perhaps that this organization has ever had. He's got the respect, the admiration. He's got the opportunity. He's got the most important thing that you can have in sports. A quarterback, a face of the franchise. He's got it. So put the cap on backwards, Cal, with the suit too. The backwards cap, back in the day, the boomers used to frown upon it, but now it's the backwards cap is nothing. Like it's almost expected. It's almost less edgy to wear the cap backwards than it is forwards. But when you're rocking the backwards cap with the suit while you're getting interviewed at an Astros game, you're feeling yourself. So shout out to BBC. Backwards ball cap, Cal. BBC. Has he lost a lot of weight? I don't think so. Hannah keeping him on point. Don't know about that. I don't know if Hannah would like him with the backwards cap. She might have him turn it around. Not sure. Oh, we're calling it a rally cap? Come on. Ain't no rally cap. BBC. Backwards ball cap Cal. That is absolutely hilarious. I think that is one of the funnier things that I've seen in a while. I got 10 things. 10. Shout out to Billy Bob, Varsity Blues. Top 5 football movie of all time. Don't care what any of you say. Top 5 for sure. Maybe top 3. Really good movie. How many girls were doing whipped cream bikinis after they saw that? Probably too many. A lot of couches and sheets ruined as a result of that movie. Before we do, though, let's hear from DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans has his game face on. And I think this is kind of a routine thing, although it is kind of amusing to a lot of people that he will not say who's playing in the preseason. I understand it in the regular season, but in the preseason, okay. Here was DeMeco Ryans. The press conference started out with Aaron Wilson, KPRC, asking about the Autry suspension. DeMeco had a little bit of fun with it and eventually got around to it. But this is DeMeco Ryans, the start of his media availability. Aaron Wilson asks the right question. DeMeco kind of jokes around, wants something positive.
So what is suspension for DeMeco Autry?
Positive question to start.
Hey, Coach, speaking of Autry, what have you seen from the interior guys that you guys have as of right now?
Yeah, from our D-line group, I think all the guys done a great job of working well together. I think with our D-line, it's a different style of play than most guys have played in different schemes. So it takes some time getting used to, right, our style of play, what we're asking guys to do. And they're coming along. Right? I see the group gelling together. They're working well on their stunts and their games. So it's really good to see guys out creating that bond, working well together as a D-line group. When it comes to Autry, I think everybody knows he put out a statement. We stand behind Autry and his statement that he made. Unfortunate news to hear of the suspension. We were well aware of it, and we'll move forward. He's here. He can continue to work throughout training camp, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there in the season.
What do you think of the depth in terms of guys like Martin Edwards that have some flexibility like him to play inside outside?
Yeah. When we talk about roster construction and how we build it, every position group for me, we want as much flexibility as possible. Guys who can do multiple things, I think it really strengthens your roster, and that's how we try to build it. O-line, D-line, DBs, like linebackers. We try to build our team around guys who can do multiple things, and that helps us be very versatile.
DeMeco, we talked
You have to have versatility. Shout out to B.O.B.
to Andre Johnson about what it means to him that you personally will be there and that you'll have the team there. What do you hope he feels with that kind of support, and what do you hope that the Texans organization kind of celebrates with his enshrinement?
Yeah, with the Hall of Fame game and with our team being there to support Andre, and I wouldn't want it any other way, right? To be there and support him as a teammate, as a friend, as you talk about history for our organization, be the first Hall of Famer for the Houston Texans. I think it's only right that we all go and support Dre, and I think a lot of us will be our first time, right, being there in Canton at the Hall of Fame. So it'll be a unique experience for us all, and we're looking forward to it. And just so proud of Andre and all of his accomplishments throughout his career, and for him to reach the pinnacle in football of being, enshrined as a Hall of Famer. It means the world to us as an organization. I know it means the world to Andre to show all the hard work that he put into it out here on these fields, and just the type of man that he is off the field in the community. Just speaks to the volume of who Dre is, and we're happy to support him.
Don't y'all feel like I'm looking forward to seeing this speech. I'm looking forward to hearing how Coobs, shout out to Coobs. If you missed the Coob interview in here, you can go back and look at that, friend of the show. Don't you feel like they've been doing this same Andre story though for like a year and a half now? Like, doesn't it seem like these questions have been asked to DeMeco, and it's been something that's been discussed for a long time now? I'm ready to just see him in the gold jacket and move past these questions that have been asked ever since the announcement came out.
Piggybacking off of that, obviously we talk a lot about what it means about Dre, but just as a teammate, I'm more curious. So watching him day to day, how good was he as a wide receiver, just from a talent perspective?
With Andre, for me being a rookie coming in and watching Andre work, I've never seen anyone work like him
I feel you, Connor. Hope so.
on any team I've been on. It's just the guy showed up every single day. He was the hardest worker. He was our best player. When your best player is your hardest worker, right, what example is that setting for the younger guys, right? It was a great example for me being a young player and watching the way he worked, watching the way he went about his business. I always tell a story like me practicing playing with Andre for 6 years. I can count on one hand how many times I've seen him drop a football. Right? He was a very, very special player. And, I go back. I always remember the Washington games, like overtime game, fourth quarter. Everybody knows the ball is going to Andre. They know it. We know it. They got like 3 guys on him. He still goes up and make the play for us to win the game. Just an outstanding player. The best I've seen.
I'm sorry.
You good?
The Audrey suspension, how does that change the evaluation process for you and Nick moving forward?
It doesn't change our evaluation process. We've known about this for a while, so it doesn't change where we are.
Maybe what are you going to do with your? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Good.
What have you seen from the offense so far through camp, and if there are, what are some things that you all are trying to work on to kind of continue to improve, particularly when it comes to offense?
Yeah, when it comes to it's really all 3 phases for me. Every phase, offense, defense, special team, we have a lot to improve on. Like, we're not where we want to be right now at this point in camp. No team is, right? It's a grind. It's a process of continuing to work to earn the right to be a good football team, and we're continuing to earn that right daily, and we have a lot of things to improve on, offense, defense, and special teams, but I think the mindset is there for our guys, and we're headed in the right direction. We just have to keep stacking reps, stacking days, and continue to get better.
Keep stacking days. Keep stacking days. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans digital content. Appreciate everyone for getting me to 10-2. If you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. Take it away, DeMeco.
How are you going to use players in this first preseason game? Have you gotten that far yet?
Yeah, with this first preseason game, right, being the extra game for us, really looking to see most of our young guys get out and see them compete, right, and see if they can take the things we've been teaching them daily from the field, see if they can take it and show up when the lights are on. That's the main thing you see in this first game, Hall of Fame game. You'll see a lot of young guys, right, who are vying for a spot to make it in the NFL, and so it'll be great to see those guys go out and compete.
What would you like to see from Davis Mills, and will he be the first quarterback out for you guys?
From all our guys, we just want to see them go out and compete. Whoever steps out on the field, whoever is playing, we want to see our guys go out and compete.
Coach, is it an advantage to have this extra game like this to help your rookies get ready to go into game mode, getting them ready for how it is when you have to travel, when you have to prepare for games?
Yeah, I'm excited about the extra game. I think it really helps us. It helps the younger guys who normally probably wouldn't have got as many reps. So I think this 4th game really helps them this time around. And if they take advantage of it and they do it the right way, but they can get that first game jitters out of the way. And it's exciting, man, to be the only game on, right, the first game of the 2024 season, the Hall of Fame game. It's an honor for us to be playing in this game. Credit to Andre getting us in there, but it's an honor for our guys, and it's definitely an advantage for us to be able to start early and to bank as many reps as possible.
But also from a perspective of, okay, all right, practice is done. We travel on this day. This is what you all need to do as far as getting that protocol together to be able to just travel.
Yeah, all our guys, especially young guys, they get a chance to get used to our routine, right? How we travel, how we operate on the road. Be a good, first time for a lot of our guys. They'll get used to it pretty quickly, all right, and they just need to focus on football and being ready to go to work.
It seems like there's a lot of intensity on the sidelines from the starters when they're not in. They're encouraging the backups. I anticipate that might happen Thursday. Is that something you encourage, or is it just kind of a natural thing?
What I want from our team, I want our team to create a tight bond where we know we're competing. Everybody's competing to make the team, but we never lose sight of helping the man next to you, right? And creating that positive energy, right? Encouraging one another, uplifting each other. That's what we're all about here. That's what our team is all about. So I love to hear the communication on the sideline from our veterans to our younger players. Like, that means everything to me because I know they truly care about the man next to them. They care about their success.
All right, you ready for DeMeco to finish it on a hardo note? You know he's got to finish it. You got to go hardo mode. Here's the final one from DeMeco.
Last one. They said the young guys will play. So does that mean like guys like Kamari will play? Do you expect to sit to the
You guys all see who play on Thursday. I'm not going through a list of who's playing, who's not playing. I'm not going through that list. You guys will see on Thursday who steps out there. All right, see.
All right, there you go. Okay, Coach. All right, we got you. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you, Coach. See ya. All right, thank you. Love DeMeco. He is in his game mode. No matter what, he's in his game mode for sure. Why are we talking about travel? Not sure. I have no idea. I wonder if Coach and CJ have a handshake. That's a better question than asking about travel. Not sure if they do, to be honest. I would doubt it. I would bet it's just like a traditional type of thing, but I'll keep an eye on that. Chris Shannon asks, as we get into the top 10 questions, that was DeMeco Ryans. We'll hear a little bit from John Mechie coming up in a second. Chris Shannon asks, though, does Mario Edwards look better than Autry in camp due to more opportunities, or is he potentially straight up better? I mean, I think that's a valid question. He looks good. I mean, whether it was more opportunities or less, like, he looks good. So he looks really, really good no matter what. Now, he's obviously getting more opportunities because they anticipated the Autry suspension. So that is true. Would Autry have looked this good? If he would have, then you got problems on the offensive line. And I'm not completely dismissing the possibility that this isn't a great offensive line. I don't think this is going to be a really bad offensive line, but I think with what we're watching and I've seen every single play of camp. I don't feel confident in saying this is going to be a really, really good offensive line. I don't feel confident in saying that they're going to be able to run the ball effectively. Now, that's hard to tell in practice often. It's hard to tell whether a running back would have broken a tackle or not, or how that would have worked, but I'm not comfortable saying that. So I think that's a good question. I will say, though, he looks really, really good, and you are right. He's definitely getting more opportunities because they knew Autry was out. Landry, do you plan on traveling any away games this year? Perhaps. I'm going to Cleveland actually on Monday. I'm going to go after the game and after the ceremony, probably go visit the Andre thing, and I'm going to cover a few practices out there. This is going to be a hectic time. I actually feel bad for the PR staff with this. There's going to be a lot going on with the Andre thing. Plus, the stream is easier from here. So perhaps but I mean, I don't, it doesn't, like, my work doesn't become any easier or more effective when I'm there. Matter of fact, it's a lot easier to follow from here for sure. How would this line be worse than last year? I don't think they'll be worse than last year, but I don't think, if we're talking about it being a really, really good offensive line, I hope so. Maybe it'll look different when Tunsil's out there. Hell, maybe the D-line. Maybe we've talked about all offseason how it seemed like DeMeco liked the D-line. Maybe the D-line's just better than they're getting credit for. So who knows? Is Autry working at DT or DE? Right now he's working the sidelines. He really has not been practicing a lot. And it makes sense now. But like he was in the – when I would look up, he was more so on the inside. But as far as moving him around and creating packages, why would they waste their time doing that? I mean, he was getting like traditional reps. And that's what we were talking about. We're like, okay, well, maybe he's just this was before we knew about the suspension. The conversation I was having with some of the media types watching practice was, well, maybe he's just such a veteran that they don't need his ass out there practicing. Maybe that's what the situation is. Well, come to find out, they just knew that he was going to get suspended, so they were trying to figure it out. So I think that would explain it. They're not moving him around a lot. It was basically just stock stuff. So right now he's just working the sidelines. He can play. He can definitely play in preseason. So maybe we see him playing more in preseason. I don't know whether they risk that or not. I have no idea. So we can check that out. Who's the zestiest player in the team? I think it's Brev. I'm glad you paused yourself, my friend. I don't know what that means. What can you explain what that means? What do you mean zestiest? What is that? What does zestiest mean? What does that mean? Like spicy? Like what does that mean? Like what are you saying? I don't what is this? I don't know what zestiest means. I have no idea. When you say zest, I don't think I've ever used that word. I think about Zest soap. They had good commercials. I have no idea what the hell zesty means. You gotta have to explain that one for me, Blue Boy 9. I'm pretty pleased. I don't know what the hell that means. Top 10 questions quickly. Let's move on. The top 10 questions that need to be answered in the preseason. Number 1, what does the new kickoff look like? Fairbairn's been the only guy kicking off up to this point in camp. Tommy Townsend said he's capable if asked. Did not seem too thrilled about it when I asked him about it. As far as the return goes, you got Des King, you got Damian Pierce back there. Steven Sims, that might be his ticket to make the team on top of the punt return. What the hell does it look like? Do they just decide, F it, we're going to kick it out of the end zone and give them the ball at the 30? Who knows? But we're going to get the first look at it, not just for the Texans, but the entire NFL. The entire NFL is going to be watching this. A lot of times people kind of just browse through the Hall of Fame game. If you're an NFL fan and you're a diehard NFL fan, you want to see what the hell this looks like. Because it's one thing to have it on the XFL or AFL, but this is going to be weird for NFL fans who've been following this league for a long time. So what does it look like from every angle? I think that's a good question. For sure. I've never used the word zesty. I can tell you right now, I've never used the word zesty. That has not happened. If you can pull that up, I'll give you a crisp $100 bill. You have never heard me say zesty. Maybe feisty, like maybe there's some feisty, maybe there's some chippiness. You ain't never heard me say zesty, Blue Boy 9. I can promise you that. Night stream's a little bit different than the day, if y'all can't tell. Question number 2 that needs to be answered. Which of these running backs perform in games? It's hard to tell how tackles would be broken if guys are just running the extra distance to make it look like they're getting longer runs. Some running backs look good in practice. They look bad in games, vice versa. The running back depth is an issue. And you already have Joe Mixon banged up now. He was ramping up today. He was right in front of us. It does seem like he's somewhat close to getting back on the field. I don't think it was anything serious. And quite frankly, I don't know that they even need to see Joe Mixon in preseason. I don't think they need to see that. But Damian Pierce could use some game action. Jawar Jordan, we got to see what you got. Dare Gumbawale, is there anyone that can kind of push him? Who knows? Cam Akers, does Cam Akers have anything? I anticipate he gets a lot of carries in the second half. I could see Cam Akers getting double-digit carries in multiple preseason games. They got to see what they got there. It seems like he has really good vision and cuts well. He's just not really a guy who runs a lot after the play like the other guys. So who knows? But which running backs can perform in games? We need to check that out for sure. Next question that needs to be answered before the preseason ends. The back end wide receiver and DB battles. I think that the back end wide receiver and DB battles are going to be interesting. I know there's some Mechie mania right now where people talk about people talk about, how good John Mechie looks. And I don't like, what exactly does that mean? What does that mean that John Mechie looks good? Like, does that mean that you think he's going to be a top 3 receiver? Does it mean that you think that he's a good number 5? What does that mean when it comes to John Mechie looking good? Because there seems to be like a real thirst for John Mechie to be a thing. And look, I do think that there's a deeper meaning behind John Mechie. It's very clear that the players like him. If you've talked to him, and I've interviewed him a few times, it's easy to like John Mechie. But the player himself, John Mechie right now, if I'm just looking at John Mechie and I know no background about him, and it might matter. It might matter on this team with the way that the guys talk about him. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. But he just looks like a guy who could potentially be the number 5 receiver on a really good receiving core. And we're not even seeing as much of Robert Woods. And I don't know if they're holding out Robert Woods. I don't know if they're just trying to figure out if they can function without Robert Woods. But what does John Mechie looks good? Because I've seen some videos viral where he's going one-on-one. It's like, dude, most guys are going to win one-on-ones. Like Johnny Johnson's winning his one-on-ones. You're going to win one-on-ones. There was one that went viral today. I think it was from Cody Davis. By the way, congrats to Cody Davis on the new gig in Detroit. But it was one-on-one with Kalen Bolick. And I'm just like, why would John Mechie not do that? He kind of double, triple moved, whatever. Is Mechie Mania a thing? What are we doing? Is it valid? Do you think Mechie Mania is valid? Because people seem to want it to be a thing. And a lot of people, and when I say people, I'm including people in that locker room. I think there's some guys where when they do something that someone else does that might be considered a moderate achievement, sometimes it means more when the people in the locker room spend time with you and they know your story and all that. I get it. But when push comes to shove, when the Texans are trying to do what a lot of people think that they need to do, like, is Mechie Mania valid? Is Mechie Mania valid? Or are we just gassing up a guy who's potentially a number 5 receiver? That's a question that I think needs to be answered. We'll hear from John Mechie right now. This is John Mechie talking about how he feels. You're going to hear Cody Stutes with the question as well. Here's John Mechie talking about how he's feeling in camp.
Absolutely. You kind of figure it'll feel better. It's only a matter of time. Like, you go through so long with treatment for so long, and even though you're done, you're not really done. You have to give it some time for your body to flush it out and for you to be able to keep building and just kind of flush it out. So kind of expected it to be better, and yeah.
Has training camp gone the way you expected training camp to go?
I didn't really have crazy expectations, honestly. My expectations aren't bigger than the day. And that's something I started practicing towards the end of last season, and it carried on through the off seasons. My expectations don't go farther than next week. My expectations are all today, to make sure I'm checking off everything on my process every day, right?
I'm sorry, when you started starting your day,
Greg,
it starts with these.
And Greg interrupted a hell of an answer right there. Come on, Greg Bailey. What are we asking? This better be important. He was about to give Cody Stutes some goal. What are we doing, Greg?
Handshakes for so many of these guys.
Handshakes?
Are they handshakes? Are they
Come on,
dances?
Greg.
They both kind of explain to
Look
fans.
at this.
Everything on my process every day.
Look how deep
right?
he's going. Look how deep he's going.
And that's something I started practicing towards the end of last season, and it carried on through the off seasons. My expectations don't go farther than next week. My expectations are today, to make sure I'm checking off everything on my process every day, right?
I'm sorry, when you started starting your day, it starts with these handshakes for so many of these guys. Are they handshakes? Are they dances? Are they both kind of explain to?
Dang, I can't believe Greg did him like that, man. Can't believe he did him like that. Mechie Mania. Rock says he has wide receiver 3 potential on a good wide receiver core. What kind of wide receiving core? Are we talking about the 2022 Texans, 2021 Texans? Is he beating out Chris Moore and those guys? What wide receiver 3 on what? On this team? You think he's better than Noah Brown? I don't know that he's better than Woods. I mean, I know that's not like the popular thing to say. I don't know about that. Mechie was drafted in the second round for a reason. Yeah, so was Ross Blacklock. I mean, guys get drafted early all the time and don't produce at a high level at the NFL. I like Mechie. I just think I don't know like that Mechie mania is proportional to what to expect from John Mechie. It's just my take on it. We'll see. He's easy as hell to root for. I'm definitely for damn sure rooting for John Mechie. That's for sure. Damn sure. Okay, on an average wide receiver core, he's fifth on this team because it's so deep. So on an average wide receiver core, you think he's number 3. Let's just look at some depth charts. Let's just do the AFC South. We'll just do the AFC South. Okay. Indianapolis. Let's see their depth chart. Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, Adonai Mitchell. He's not top 3 there. At least I don't think. I'll pull this up. I didn't know this is the direction we were going to go, but you never know. The night stream is different than the normal. So you have that. I don't think he's 3 there. Let's go to the Jags. And I don't think the Jags have like a great wide receiver core. The Jags, you have Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas, Duvernay, Tim Jones. Do you think he's 3 there? Titans. God, I hate the Titans. Let's look at Tennessee. Gosh Allen, a.k.a. Will Levis. Ridley, Hopkins, Tyler Boyd. Top 3 there? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it just I like John Mechie. I just don't I think we're laying out. I think we might be to the point where we're just kind of gassing him up a little bit too much and almost like it's almost unfair to him, I think. But we'll see. Again, easy to root for. I don't think Xavier Hutchinson makes this team. I'm not dismissing too many people from making. I don't think Xavier Hutchinson has a chance at making this team. Maybe he slides through waivers or something like that. I don't think he has a chance in hell. I think if anyone, like if you were saying that someone was going to take over the 5 spot, I think it would be Skoranek because he's pretty scrappy in the slot and he does a hell of a lot on special teams. But I don't think Xavier Hutchinson makes this team. I loved Xavier Hutchinson at Iowa State. I don't think he makes this squad. I don't think he has a chance in hell. Question 4. How do the rookies perform in the preseason? So right now, Fisher is your starting left tackle. He might actually, it might almost be like dropping the donut off the bat when he does preseason, when he plays in the preseason. He's having to go against Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson every day in practice. He might welcome. I mean, it might be like an easy rep for him with how difficult his practices are. But he looks okay at left tackle. There's room for improvement, but he's definitely your swing tackle at this point, it appears. Kamari Lassiter is your starting corner. How much do they even need to see from Kamari Lassiter? I don't know. I feel good in saying that's your starting corner. Will there be struggles? Yeah, it's inevitable. It's probably the hardest position, one of the hardest positions to play as a rookie. When you're kind of out there by yourself. But Kamari Lassiter, he might get the treatment. Then you have Bullock. I think we see Bullock late in games. I don't know how much they're looking at Bullock as like a potential starter or anything like that. I think they like Murray. I think they like Petrie. I actually think they like MJ Stewart too. So who knows what happens with Bullock? he's going to be good. He's big. He's pretty big. Like, he's pretty tall dude. Probably needs an NFL offseason. They're talking about like getting the body right and all that. But yeah, he's a big guy. When you actually see him pause, I guess, going on the pause thing, heavy. I feel like you got to be a little selective, but yeah. But yeah, the rookies, what are we going to see from them? Jamal Hill kind of more of a practice squad guy. It'll be interesting to see how Fisher holds up and Lassiter. What kind of treatment does he get? Is he just getting the starter type of thing? We'll see. And the Lassiter thing isn't hype. It's real. It's a real thing. He's out there. He's just doing his thing. Lassiter is the story of camp. Like, we thought it was a question. No, it hadn't been a question at least up to this point. A lot can change in games, but who knows? Question 5, what are they doing at nickel? I thought Seth Payne made a good observation today because I was thinking the same thing. I actually said it last night, I believe. I think there's a little too much hype around this Jalen Petrie playing a different position type of thing. And I'm not saying it's the right decision. I'm not saying it might not end up being a good thing, but I mean, come on, guys. Like, we watched last year. Are you really telling me that we've gotten to the point now? You can schematically set it up and you can find situations to do it, but there are really like people who follow this team very closely that are almost convincing themselves that you can put Jalen Petrie in the slot and just line him up man to man against a team's number 1 through 3 wide receiver, and that's an ideal situation. I mean, come on. I mean, I like Jalen Petrie. I'm rooting for Jalen Petrie. I think there's a chance Jalen Petrie could end up really even being a starting safety in the NFL for a while. And I get what he did at Baylor. But that was a little bit different of a type of situation in the way they were using. They were basically using him as a linebacker. I think it's good that they're getting him reps there, but I think because of camp and perhaps because of a lack of information and the fact that the defense has been performing so well, there's almost a thought that, oh, there you go, that's ideal. We got an elite nickel guy now. Just let's keep a closer eye on that. And Eric Murray's your starting safety. He looks okay, but what is that going to look like in a game? I think they're both useful football players. I think they're both on your team, but let's keep an eye. Des King might be your nickel guy. And last year they cut Des King. So let's see what happens when the season approaches. I think there's going to be reps there, but I personally just don't feel comfortable enough right now. And I've watched Petrie the whole time. He's played well. Played really well close to the line of scrimmage. But as far as just being some full-time nickel back that's guarding guys in the slot, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable saying that. That's just me. Is he better at that than King? I would probably – I mean, like, as far as playing near the line of scrimmage, like, he's had a really good camp. He hasn't really been cooked unless you want to count one-on-ones, and I think counting one-on-ones is pretty ridiculous. But I would not quite just wave the flag of elite nickel guy for sure. So we'll see what happens with Petrie. I agree. Put him in during the preseason at nickel and see what happens. Yeah, give him the reps, man. But yeah, let's keep a close eye on that, because I'll tell you this. If you're telling me that week 1, Petrie's going to be playing nickel and there's going to be times where he's going to be in the slot against the Colts' best receivers, you're telling me Shane Steichen's not going to try to dial something up there? I think you would be mistaken. Question 6 that needs to be answered in the preseason by the Texans. Question 6. Do they think they're good at DT? I think they do. I think DeMeco does feel that way. I think between Mario Edwards, Fatukasi, Settle, Heinisch, Khalil Davis, I actually think they kind of like what they have. I think they're going to be open to bringing someone in, but I think the Texans are comfortable. This suspension caught us by surprise, all of us. It didn't catch them by surprise. the reason they signed Jerry Hughes. They've known about it for months. So a lot of times when we hear this type of news, we sit there and we say, damn, like, what are they going to do now? What's going to happen? They've known about this for a while. So if they were desperate, they probably would have figured something out, or they waited because they feel that they can do something when it comes to DT. The DTs have looked good so far in camp. So we'll see what that looks like. Do you think Jalen Petrie will get a second contract? Yeah, I think he's a useful football player. I think Jalen Petrie is a useful football player. What is the role? That's to be determined. That's what they're trying to figure out with him at nickel. But yeah, I mean, do I think he's going to break bread? I don't know. I mean, he is in his third season, so I don't think he's like going to get a contract extension early. I think he's probably going to go into next year on the final year of his deal. But yeah, I mean, I think Jalen Petrie will be in the NFL for a while. I think he's a good football player. I think he's a valuable football player that can do a lot of things. Now, how well he does those things will determine how much that contract's for. But yeah, I don't think he's like out of the league. I don't think they're in a hurry to give him a contract either. Question 7 that needs to be answered: is Kenyon Green a lock at left guard? So they really haven't been moving around at left guard. They've had Kenyon Green out there. I don't think he's been awesome. I don't think he's been terrible. The D-line, though, has looked pretty good. So maybe there's some sort of connection there. What does Kenyon Green look like? I think Kenyon Green's going to need some game action. They're going to need to see Kenyon Green in a game situation and see what that looks like. But I mean, there's no musical chairs going on. There's no rotation. You look up, that first-team offensive line is the same 95% of the time. So I think they like Kenyon Green. I think right now he's the favorite. What does he look like in a game, though? We've seen Kenyon Green struggle in game situations. I think it's important for Kenyon Green in the preseason. Question number 8. Do injured guys play at all? You have Laramie Tunsil, Joe Mixon, Andrew Beck. Do those guys play at all? Like, are their roster spots just safe? I don't know that we see Laramie Tunsil in the preseason. He is getting ramped up a little bit. They're working out on the side a lot more intensely than they have. Joe Mixon, I don't know that Joe Mixon needs to play in the preseason, quite frankly. Although it seems like he wants to be on the field for sure. Damn sure wants to be at practice. Do those guys play, or is it just all good? Christian Harris. I don't think Christian Harris is close. Do they get him ready for the season? He got over a month. So I would say they probably do. Do we see him in the preseason? Don't know that there's a hurry there. Will he be rusty? Another question mark. So do we see the key core injured guys play at all? That's question number 8. Question number 9. Do the struggling players need to flash in the preseason? And the struggling guys that I'm talking about are Kenyon Green, who has struggled a number of ways in his first couple of seasons. Jalen Petrie, who right now they have him as their starting safety. Last year, it was kind of a roller coaster ride. Do those guys need to perform well in the preseason to get their starting spots? Do they need to do that? Or are they just locks to make the roster? They're obviously going to make the roster. Are they locks at their current spots on the depth chart is how I should say that. That's question number 9. Question number 10, and this is the quarterback question. How much does C.J. Stroud play in the preseason? Sometimes you see starting quarterbacks go out there for a half. Sometimes you see them play 2 preseason games. Hell, sometimes the coach will surprise you and will throw them out there for a series, like in a Hall of Fame game or something like that. Maybe DeMeco does that. Who knows? How much does C.J. Stroud play? That'll be something to keep an eye on. I think he probably needs to play at least a half, get some timing down, work with the offensive line. They might not think that. That'll be something to keep an eye on, for sure. So those are the 10 questions about the Texans that need to be answered in the preseason. Chris has a question in the chat. In your time covering the Texans, Landry, do you recall a rookie getting more praise during camp than last year? Not sure if Deshaun or CJ got this kind of universal love for the preseason. Well, Deshaun was having a quarterback competition with Tom Savage. So there was that. That was freaking weird. And it was weird that he lost it for a half. Then you had CJ. CJ had that fake quarterback competition with Mills. He looked good. I mean, you didn't watch CJ Stroud in camp last year and say, okay, this guy's going to be one of the best NFL rookie quarterbacks in league history. I don't think anyone watched that, at least anyone that has like an objective eye. I'm trying to think, like, we're going back to what, 16? Yeah, 16 camps, like, as far as rookies? No, I mean, Bill O'Brien didn't like rookies. Bill O'Brien said the rookies don't know anything. That was one of his popular opinions, and then he just started trading draft picks, giving them away. Stingley, I don't think he got this type of love. No, I haven't heard a rookie get this much hype. Although Tank got a lot of hype last year, I will say that. Like we said, if you followed this channel last year, I said that Tank was the best receiver in camp. Like if you just blindly watched that, he was the best receiver in camp. So Tank was pretty good for sure. But as far as just like putting a guy in at a starting spot when there were all these question marks surrounding him, no, I don't remember that even being a thing. I thought for sure that you look up and Okudah would be with the ones. They're not even trying to sugarcoat it with Lassiter. So you'll see that. Yeah, Will got a lot of hype for sure. He did. There was some growing pains. Like he was a good practice player. But the Lassiter thing I think is interesting. I think there's a number of reasons why. I think it's because there was all the emotion on draft day where there was talk of Kool-Aid McKinstry. There was talk of DeJean. There was talk of some of the D linemen. There was even talk of receiver. And then they took Lassiter. And, you know, during the draft, we start talking about speed. We start talking about 40 times and that type of stuff happens. But you look up and he's balling out and he is doing his thing and he's been a starter the entire time. Tomorrow, off day for the Texans, travel day. They're going to Ohio, where Nick Caserio, Frank Ross, many other people from the Texans are from. Thursday, we got a game, live stream immediately after the game, best post-game show in the business. Who knows how many people will be here. I look at this. I am very excited for this Hall of Fame game to the point where I took the Texans -1.5. I'm betting a hundo on it. Bet US. I went to Bet US. I think they gave me like +125. I put a couple hundred in. They gave me double that. And I got the Texans. I'm taking the Texans -1.5. Just feel like there's a lot of guys fighting for spots. And quite frankly, Hardo DeMeco Ryans, where DeMeco Ryans is treating this like a real game and not saying who's playing and stuff, kind of has me a little bit confident in the mindset of this team heading into the Hall of Fame game. So I will be betting on the Texans. You can call me a sicko, but you know what? It all pays the same. You don't get half price during the preseason. So I went to Bet US. That's the bet I'm going with. Join if you want. And tell them I sent you, man. I might be able to get you like a promo code or something like that if you want to hold off tomorrow. I'll get you that for sure. But appreciate y'all for coming through. Those are the 10 questions. I'm pumped for Thursday. I know y'all are pumped for Thursday. All you sickos that have been following this all year long. Always remember there's no off days. Always remember whether Cal's wearing his ball cap forward, whether he's wearing it backwards, whether CJ Stroud plays in the preseason or he doesn't. When it comes to this Texan stuff, we are all in it together. Thanks for coming through the locker room. Daily content, multiple streams throughout the day. And that's just the beginning. I got a lot of big stuff popping, and I appreciate you guys for rolling with me. Subscribe, like, right along for the best Texans coverage in the country. We're all in it together. This is another edition of The Locker Room, the Night Stream edition.
Then it's that we number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.